Good morning, Savages. This is Savage Sunday, and I'm your host, Eli, and we are going to be talking about a topic that I have called Your Will is a War Zone. So let's get some background really quick. The will of a person is defined as the thing that one desires or ordains, or control deliberately exerted to do something or to restrain one's own impulses. So, when we're talking about will today, I'm going to specifically come at it from an aspect of where your emotions and your logic meet together. Now, I know that there has been a lot of controversy lately, and there has been a lot of things that have been kind of culminating as of late in the news and, spilling out into the streets. And first and foremost, I want to say I didn't post last week because I wanted to be a little bit more sensitive to the things that were going on in the world. And in honor of Blackout Tuesday, I wanted to kind of take some time to reflect and be in the moment rather than just looking for clout or trying to kind of give my take on things just so that people can tune in on what the current events were. But I've had some time to think, and I've had some time to kind of culminate my ideas and just really sit with what it is that I truly see in the aspect of what's going on in the world right now. And the one thing that I will say, particularly, is that as a Puerto Rican with dark skin, I have always been labeled as black, and I don't stray away from that particular label, so to speak. But I am going to say that my views on how things are going, that can be in an entirely different segment, and that could be really a lengthy process, and I'd be more than happy to actually talk those things out with anybody that wants to know. But besides that, I want to touch on something a little bit more focused, and this is where we go. So, we live in a world that is constantly trying to dictate others' actions. We live in a society where the way that people think or the way that people perceive things and act upon those things that they perceive are typically dictated by another's ideas and a call to action. And that's where will comes into play because we have free will, right? We have the ability to do what it is that we feel or do what it is that we think, in any given moment based off of our convictions. But what happens when those convictions are tainted by the idea that somebody else has? You know, is it still free will at that point? Or have you acted out in a way that was kind of introduced or influenced by another ideal? I'm all about the protests, and I was talking to my wife the other day, and I have this saying that I've always stuck to, that revolutions in our time, RIOT, riot, and sometimes a riot is what needs to be done in regard to taking back the power that we have as a people. But when we get to a particular moment where we start to tear our own brothers and sisters down in order to prove our point, sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect as to whether our riot is meant to be heard or if it's drowned out in the sounds of our cries for help, and sometimes that can take an ugly turn and it just becomes counterproductive, so to speak. So I don't want this to come across in a perspective of we shouldn't be out there protesting, because I truly believe that change needs to come, and I do believe that change starts with us. But I do think that, in perspective of going ahead and tearing our own brothers and sisters down, it almost, defeats the purpose, because the point is for us to unite and build together. So, that being said, whether it's perpetual propaganda or media manipulation, we don't want to allow these things to get a rise out of us, so that we can act out in a way that still keeps us suppressed or keeps us oppressed from, the powers that be that we are trying to fight against. That's going to be counterproductive. We want to come into a place where our voices are heard, and the powers that be don't have a choice but to listen, right? Our country was founded on principles that we cannot be held down and we cannot be dictated to. We have to come together as we the people. As we the people, that means that we, as a collective, must come to a place of understanding. Not you dictate it and we just fall back and listen. I'm all about being informed, and I'm all about doing what needs to be done for the sake of others. But forget staying woke. Stay aware, stay informed, and stand your ground. That's how we're going to win this fight. That's how we are going to rise as a people and create a community that loves one another, and create a community that is fair. I want to focus on something today, and it's something that I think kind of perpetuates my thought process and my cause in this particular topic. And what I want to talk about today is Plato's allegory of the cave. So, there is a cave. We're going to say that there's 4 people in it. So 4 guys hanging around. I mean, they don't have to all be guys, gals, whatever the case is. There's 4 people in this cave. So in this cave, they are entertained, or they are kind of spoken to by the shadows that they see on a wall. So if anybody has ever been camping, or if you've ever been a kid and you had that whole game you play where you have a light, whether it's a campfire or a flashlight or whatever the case is, shining from behind, and then you're able to kind of move your hands in order to create shadow puppets, or put on this whole presentation of a story that you're trying to give. That's kind of how these cave people are living, right? And they see these shadows, and as they look at these shadows, they're able to see what it is that is going on behind the scenes. But the things that are going on behind the scenes are actually telling the story for them, not exactly giving them the idea that they understand what's going on, but more so that they're taking this in as a personal truth because they see it, right? The main mantra that people have lived by since I was young is, I have to see it to believe it. So in that same realm of thought, seeing has become people's versions of believing. And when they see these shadows, that is their personal truth, because that is what they see going on. So one person out of the 4 has this unique thought, and crazy, but he turns around. And then as he turns around, he starts to see that the shadows are a reflection of the light that is going on behind them and the world that is existing in that lighted area. So the shadows that these cave people are seeing are actually a result of people living life in a world that isn't shrouded in darkness. But here's the funny thing about this, is that To the people that are receiving these shadows as their truth, they are the ones that are living in the dark. They're the ones that are actually, seeing these things play out, but these faces that they may give names to are not actually the truth. So this person looks and sees, wow, there is a completely different world out there. And the things that are happening, yes, we're seeing a glimmer of it through the shadows, but we don't actually see the fullness of the story because there's so much more life to live and there's so much more going on. And that is where I come to the term behind the scenes, right? Because everything that's happening is behind what is seen. This guy goes back to the cave people, his community, and he says, listen, what we're seeing is only a glimmer of what's actually happening. If you would just take the time to turn around, then we would see that these shadow puppets that we are calling our truth is only a remnant of what is really happening. It's easy for us to take a story and one dimensionalize it so that we can rationalize what's going on. But there's always more to the story. I've always heard that there's three sides to the truth, right? There's my side, there's your side, and then there's what's actually going on. So these people call him crazy because they're like, listen, man, this is the truth. Look at these things. They're moving. They're talking to us. They are giving us this information. This is the truth. Calling him crazy. Meanwhile, all he's trying to say is listen, turn around, see for yourself, and you will know that there's way more to this than just what it is that we're seeing or what it is that we're being told. But this is how we can tend to be these days. The cave people that refuse to turn around. The cave people that see something, you have it dictated to us, and then everything else becomes irrelevant, right? What do I need to turn around for? I see what's going on right in front of me. But what if the thing that's right in front of you isn't the full story, isn't the full truth? I don't want this to come off as insensitive in regard to the people that have lost their lives. Like I was saying before, I do believe that riots are necessary. Now, do I stand behind a lot of the looting and the burning of buildings? Honestly, there's shades of gray there. And I can't say that I completely agree with one side and the other. However, there is a larger picture and it's a more complex story. And in this moment, I want to act as the person that is looking behind the scene, behind what is seen. With that being said, let us as a community find this truth together. Let us look beyond what we naturally see and let us take the time to have compassion for everybody. Let me be the first to say that Black Lives Matter on this platform that I have. And let's kind of do away with all lives matter. Not that all lives don't matter, because they do, but Black lives matter. And with that being said, the way that we avenge our people and the way that we avenge the people that we love is to love and to find a resolve. And sometimes that resolve ends in war. But if that's the way it's got to be, that's just the way that it's got to be. It's okay to protest. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be sad. It is imperative to want justice, but not merely on an account dictated to us. We have to find the justice and enact the justice together as a collective. We can't fall apart now as a people just because one side doesn't like the other. Black lives matter. And in order to truly staple that, we have to be united. We have to come together. And we have to show that while the house of the black man or the black people is burning down, as a community, we're showing up with buckets of water. As a community, we're not going to sit here and say, well, yeah, that's, I understand that you're your opinion and your stance matters, but I have my own house to take care of. Your house isn't the one burning down. So let's stand together and let's put out this fire together. And then once we put out this fire together, how do we rebuild that home? And once we rebuild that home, how do we rebuild our community to stand strong and to be united, to be one? Our will is a war zone. It's being fought every single day. One side is trying to tell you how to feel, the other side is trying to tell you how to act. And in the midst of this, there's an inner turmoil happening within us that causes us to divide. But the division has to stop. If our will is the war zone being fought, let's not let the wrong army gain footing in the territory that we're fighting in. They will Adolf Hitler your emotions, and they will Holocaust your thoughts. But we have to fight the good fight together. Let's win the war from within here so that we can unite for the fight out there. Thank you for your time. Hopefully this touches somebody and we can begin a revolution in our time. So it's time to start the riot. That's it for today. Truly, God bless. Stay safe. Stay sane. Let's do this together. I love you all. Thank you for your time.